Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. So, I am here to read my book, Wealth Shaman. Sorry, let me get comfortable here. I've got to read my book here. Wealth Shaman. I believe this was my first book ever that I ever wrote. And it has some interesting exercises in it. Less theory and more exercises. And it was things that I had found really helpful in overcoming my challenges with money. Now, this was written, I believe I wrote this while I was still married. So you're going to hear me talk about things that, have since changed. But as is the one of the ways that I transform myself is if I'm not where I want to be in a certain area, I write a book as though I am there. And I'm really writing to myself. And it's absolutely worked. My life is so much different now than, just let me tell you, when I wrote this book, I wish I had pictures to show you. You can find, go back to my video channel and look at the first video. I mean, you can go back to the very first video that I put up on this channel. I think you can look and see by, oldest and most popular and newest. Go by oldest, and you'll see what I looked like when I wrote this book. I was in a lot of pain physically. I was really trapped financially. I was just struggling as hell. I was, things were really challenging for me. And I started practicing these principles, and I was really writing this book to teach myself how to get out of the crappy life that I was living. And it absolutely worked in ways I couldn't have even have imagined. So for me, writing books is a shamanic act. It's an act of self-evolution. So that's what we got here. Wealth Shaman, attracting wealth through shamanic principles. This is live. This is not pre-recorded. Of course, unless you watch it after it's been archived, then it will be pre-recorded. Hey, I'm trying to look at. There's somebody here who's got his name in runes, but I think these are is that the Elder Futhark? Write out your name in normal script so I can see what is that trying to say. There's a couple of runes I'm not quite seeing what they are. Anyway, so this is a question and answer when we get through it. So I'm going to be doing what I do with all my books. I'm going to be reading it, and then I'm going to stop and give some editorial comments or things that have changed along the way. If I've changed my thoughts about something, I'll step in and say, I don't think that way anymore. Anyway, and actually, before I go any further, I'm going to turn the light on because the sun's starting to go down here. So let me turn the light on. There it is. Turn on the light, and then we'll get to reading. So here we go. All right. So, Wealth Shaman, Attracting Wealth Through Shamanic Principles by Michael William Denney. Let's see, how can I do this? All right. Disclaimer. Shamanism is an ancient way of living that teaches harmony. Shamanic techniques are powerful psychological and spiritual tools for solving problems. While the techniques shared in this book are powerful and proven, they are not a substitute for common sense. This book makes no guarantees or promises of any kind. Shamanic practices should never be considered as substitutes for psychological or psychiatric methods. It is assumed that the reader is relatively mentally and emotionally healthy. Those who suffer from serious psychological or emotional challenges should seek out professional help. Shamanic practices are not recommended for those who need professional counseling. In cases of serious emotional challenges, shamanism should only be practiced after receiving qualified psychological treatment. I don't really know why I felt the need to do that. I think what I was doing was, I don't even know why I did that. It was my first book. I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, still sound advice. Preface. Are you a spiritually inclined person who is conflicted when it comes to money? Do the normal ways of obtaining wealth conflict with your personal or spiritual values? Do you feel spiritually drained working conventional jobs like sales, office jobs, food service, long hours of labor, etc.? Do you struggle with ethical conflicts concerning earth-friendly products and vocations? As a result, do you struggle to make ends meet uh, because earning money the normal way by doing jobs that are harmful to your spirit keep you from earning a comfortable living? Or do you feel guilty when you make money by promoting a company or product that harms the environment, but there seems to be no other way to earn money? Now you get an idea of where I was coming from. I didn't want to do that. Have you tried making a living through spirit-friendly ways but have gotten nowhere because modern society doesn't seem to understand what you offer to the world? And you're getting a view as to where I was coming from. People just didn't. There's some truth to that. I'm doing some new things on my channel and people are leaving. People are saying, that's it, I'm unsubscribing. This is the worst video I've ever seen. And I'm unsubscribing, I'm out of here. And I would like to say to each of them, hey, I'm more than happy to do nothing but really good content-filled, intelligent videos. But not a whole lot of people are watching the real things. They watch the show. So you're just going to have to get used to it. In order for me to have my channel be as popular as I want it to be, I'm going to have to do some clickbaity stuff to get the views coming in. I'm sorry if that violates your ethics, but I got to pay the bills here. So if you don't want me making those silly videos, then get all of your friends to watch the good ones. I will make the videos you guys want to see. It's up to you. All right. Have you tried making a living through spirit-friendly ways but have gotten nowhere because modern society doesn't seem to understand what you offer to the world? In ancient times, tribal cultures that lived in harmony with nature celebrated and honored their shamans. Spiritual leaders were materially supported by their community. People sought them out, shamans, for their uniqueness and made sure their spiritual servants were well cared for. People sought them out and made sure that the people's spiritual servants, meaning the shamans, were well cared for. Yeah, I'm really getting a real look at my mindset at the time I wrote it. There was a lot of victim mentality in there. If you listen to it, you can hear it. But in today's modern society, spiritually sensitive people are usually overlooked and are forced to work jobs that are destructive to their sensitive natures. This can lead to depression and financial self-sabotage. Yeah, that's where I was at, man. Life was tough. I was having a really hard time making a living doing the stuff I wanted to do. It was really, really challenging. There is a way to celebrate your spiritual uniqueness and make a good living. I'm not talking about a rehashed version of The Secret, i.e. Law of Attraction, or some other new age gimmick like subliminal CDs, self-hypnosis, life coaching, or positive affirmations. Those are all things that never worked for me. That's why I listed them. I'm talking about ancient shamanic principles of living that can create abundant prosperity and allow you to be spiritually fulfilled, expressing your true spiritual gifts. All right. Well, let's just deal with a comment here. I've decided I'm not going to let anybody get under my skin anymore. I'm really enjoying this. And let's all understand the concept of psychological projection. In case you don't know what psychological projection is, it is when you project onto other people what you are currently struggling with unconsciously, meaning you're unaware of it. And so instead of dealing with it consciously, you see it in everybody around you, but you don't see it in yourself. Okay? It's that old adage of when you point your finger at somebody, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. So Winifred Shallow, interesting name, says, I find it a little disingenuous for you to say that you were in this bad place, especially since you are a reptilian overlord with hundreds of years behind you. I'm still listening. All right, so that was a joke. Ha! I caught myself. That's right. But again, I'm playing the role. Don't screw it up. We'll do the reptilian videos, then. Now I'm in my fully in my human mode, so let's just stay human. All right, so the guy who just said, hell yeah. What is your name? Oh, there it is, Broggy Death Star. All righty, now I know. All right, introduction. This is, again, back to the book Wealth Shaman by Michael William Denney. His first ever book written a long time ago. It had to have been, let's see, what is it now, 2020? Had to have been 15 years ago. Introduction. I struggled with my spiritual calling for much of my adult life. We could put that in the present tense because that's where I was at. I struggled with my spiritual calling for much of my adult life. I have always been creative, sensitive, and shy. Although I was called to be a shaman early in life, I didn't understand it. My natural spiritual gifts made me feel different and weird. I thought that I was just strange and didn't fit in. My sensitivity made others uncomfortable, so I hid my shamanic abilities. Instead, I focused on my artistic abilities, which is just another form of shamanism. Happy face emoji. My plan was to make a living in the arts. That is true. As you know, I was an actor, and I had a theater company in Hollywood. I co-founded a theater company there, which I think the theater company, the name is still going, although it has no connection to who we were. And they don't even know who I am, even though I co-founded the damn thing. That was back in 1990, the end of 1990. It was a long time ago. Instead, I focused on my artistic abilities, which is another form of shamanism. My plan was to make a living in the arts, but making a living in the arts in modern society is very difficult. It was for me, but I didn't realize that I was also sabotaging myself right and left. Now I know that. I didn't know that when I wrote this book. And to be honest, I can feel the resentment that I had. I felt so resentful and so hurt being a brilliant artist, which I think I am, and a brilliant actor, and not to be recognized for that. It was very painful for me. My plan was to make a living in the arts, but making a living in the arts in modern society is very difficult. Not every talented artist, singer, musician, or actor can make a good living sharing his or her creative talents with the world. I found I was forced to do the 9-to-5 thing every day just to keep a roof over my head and food in my stomach. In fact, I was working 2 jobs just to pay the bills while I was running a theater and teaching classes and doing auditions for movies and television and all that. I was working my ass off. As a shaman, I am naturally good with people, so as a result, I made good money in sales. That is true. Let me see. I think I probably talk about it. I used my inherent ability to read people to know how to close the sale. I'm kind of making stuff up there. I just, people trusted me. I used my inherent ability to read people to know how to close the sale. Closing sales was part of my job, and I never lied to anyone. That's true. So I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I felt like I was not living up to my true potential. I was slowly dying inside. I would look outside the window of my cubicle and see the sunlight and blue sky and wish I could be out in the fresh air at the beach or in the mountains. Every day after work, I would come home and think about how I had spent my day inside an office and compare it with the idea of just being out in nature, no matter how much money I had made that day. And no matter how much money I had made that day, I would feel an emptiness inside. Actually, I'd come home with a pounding headache. It was just awful. I just hated it. Trying to just force people to buy stuff they didn't need. It was really hard on me. I would feel an emptiness inside. I felt like I had wasted my whole day and damaged my spirit. According to my shamanic values, spending the whole day outside surfing was actually accomplishing something. It felt real. While inside the office, I felt that I was wasting my precious time accomplishing nothing. I was only there to make money so I could survive. On the surface, I appeared successful because of the money I was earning, but internally, I was unfulfilled because I knew I was not living my original spiritual destiny. But what else could I do? The modern world only respects money. And if I wanted the respect of my family and peers and be able to survive, I had to do what everyone else was doing, right? Wrong. Now, here's where I got a little creative in my artistic licensing here. What I was really doing is I was trying to create a future for myself. I was okay, but the picture that I'm going to paint in this, when I wrote this, wasn't entirely true about how I felt at the time. My life is much different now. I live in a comfortable home, that's true. I have everything I need on a physical level, that was true. I practice my shamanic calling, that was true. I have plenty of free time, a beautiful, loving marriage, that wasn't so true. I live near nature and spend lots of time in the outdoors, that was true. Every chance I got in my truck and went up in the mountains and camped. Drove my wife crazy. I play music. I teach classes in spiritual living. In short, I am living my dream and following my spiritual calling. I was not living my dream. I was following my spiritual calling, however. What did I do differently? Well, after a while, I was simply unable to make a living doing the normal thing. That is true. No matter how hard I tried, I could not seem to close those sales anymore. I was utterly miserable. I was in the process of trying to create a business when the rug was pulled out from underneath me and I was forced to abandon my latest business scheme. What had happened was that I had given up on acting. I'd been doing the acting gig for, how long had I been doing it? I don't remember how long. I've been doing it for a long time. A few years. A lot of people spend their whole lives in Hollywood, and I didn't want to do that. So I had been 12 years doing it, and by then, I had been doing it for 12 years, and I had given up. And what was going on is that I was teaching internal martial arts. I was teaching spirit fighting. I was teaching a form of internal martial arts, which I called 5-element Tai Chi, which was a modified version of spirit fighting in a Tai Chi style. It wasn't Tai Chi at all, but people not knowing the difference would call it Tai Chi. And my class was growing. I was teaching a class out in the park, and it was huge. My class just kept growing and growing and growing. And my teacher at the time, who has his own serious problems, out of a mistaken sense of loyalty to him, I hadn't been training with him for a while because I'd been sort of on my own, like go on your own and master the thing. So I was doing that, and out of a misplaced desire for being a loyal student, which looking back on it now is actually self-sabotage, I invited him to come to the class and introduce him to the class there. And after that, he basically said, I want in, and I couldn't refuse him. And so he would come and we would teach the class together, and he would take half the money. And what ended up happening is I started losing students right and left because of him. And what could I do? You don't deal with your sifu that way. He comes in and says, I want to do this. You say, yes, sir. And, there was really not a whole lot I could do. And he started changing things around. And then his teacher showed up. His teacher, who I had been really waiting to see because I wanted to meet the true master, I met him. And if I thought my teacher was bad, this guy was just a complete, total bully nutcase. And he saw what I was doing and he said, you got to stop doing that. And he shut down my class. And it was because he didn't like it. He didn't like that I was teaching. That was it. It was just that simple. And so I lost everything. And I was stuck now, and I had two of these guys, over me and, being really destructive. And I gave up. And I said, I'm out of here. And I just left. I packed up and put everything in the back of my truck, and I drove to Idaho because I was just going to live in the mountains out of the back of my truck until I landed somewhere. And I wanted to just camp in the woods and just escape. And that's how I ended up meeting my now ex-wife, is that I was on a dating site and she lived there and we hooked up, and that was the end of that. So that's how I ended up losing that good business. I sabotaged myself. All right, getting back to the book here. I was 39 years old with no money, no relationships, and no future prospects. I did not know what to do. I was very scared. That's true. I went for a while, and things were different then. You didn't have internet like you do now. I mean, you can make money off the internet so easily. Back then, you couldn't. The internet was just being born. I didn't really know what the hell it was yet. I went for a walk and tried to figure out my next step. No matter how I looked at it, I could not see any way out of my current dilemma. I wanted to run away. So I started fantasizing about where I would run to and what I would do. I found myself saying, if I could do anything I wanted, where would I go and what would I do? I began creating this fantasy of my new imaginary life. After about 10 minutes of fantasizing, I decided to come back to reality. I was very sad about leaving this fantasy I had created. I said out loud, if I could do anything I wanted, wait, I can do anything I want. There's nothing stopping me except for me. What I had done by fantasizing about running away was to tap into my true desires for how I wanted to live my life. So those of you now who know what I teach, now you're starting to see the genesis of this. You can hear the language in there. I hadn't fully come to the understandings that I do now, but it was just starting to get created. I thought, what I had done by fantasizing about running away was to tap into my true desires for how I wanted to live my life. I thought that it was not possible because I had put limitations on what I was supposed to do and be. But I realized that I was holding on to other people's ideas about what I was supposed to do. You hear where it's coming from? Once I saw that my fantasy was my true desire and calling, I instantly decided I was going to move away and immediately create my new fantasy life. I gave notice to my job, said goodbye to my business partner, my teacher who was being a real jerk, said goodbye to my friends, packed up my stuff, and headed out to my new life in a different part of the country. So I headed up to Idaho from Los Angeles. Where was I going to go? Packed up my stuff and headed out to my new life in a different part of the country. Within a couple of weeks, before I had even left town, I had met my future wife. That's true. She was living in the area I was moving to. I went out to visit her, made contacts in that city, and began setting up new work for myself in the exact areas I'd fantasized about. So I went out there to meet her, and there was a drumming community out there, and I got hooked up with them, and I started teaching classes. And so I was like, oh, I've got a place I can do what I want there. And so I was going to start teaching all the stuff that I wanted to teach in California, but felt I couldn't because my teacher was hovering over me, and I went out and did it in Idaho instead. Within a couple of weeks, I went out to visit her, made contacts in that city, and began setting up new work for myself in the exact areas I had fantasized about. Now, this may be an extreme example. I don't think it's extreme anymore. I think that whatever your desires are, you got to do it. Extreme or otherwise, you got to. You have to do it. You may not be able to simply leave everything behind and move to another part of the country as I did. Well, you should, if that's what your desire is. So, I was hedging, but I don't think that I would hold back now. If you could convince me that that's your desire, then you have to do it. You have to do it. Now, this may be an extreme example. You may not be able to simply leave everything behind and move to another part of the country as I did, but the same principle still applies. By using shamanic techniques, you will be able to contact the spirit of your ideal life and call it into existence. We are going to examine what you really want to do, and we will bring it into existence for you. We will not have to make it happen. We will simply call it to us. But I warn you, your ideal life may be very different from what you think. You may have to change your idea of who you are, so keep an open mind and just allow yourself to go on an adventure. Now, I would change one thing in that, which is, I said, we will not have to make it happen, we will simply call it to us. That, I was echoing the law of attraction, which says you just vibrate and it comes to you. That's kind of what I wanted to have happen. I hadn't completely, totally accepted the idea that when you know what it is you want to do, you have to go make it happen. You have to work for it. So I was hedging on that because I was still married. I was still in a bad marriage, and I was compromising, and you hear the compromise come out here and there, and that's one place that it did. All right. Let's see. I'll see if there are any questions I can answer as we're going. Anyway, Winifred Shallow, have you ever done psychedelic drugs or plants? Did they help your spiritual journey? So, Winifred, new to my channel, maybe not. Go watch my video about marijuana and power plants. I won't take the time to talk about it now. Go and watch that. And just let me give the speech. If you guys haven't learned how to search on my channel, what you do is you go onto YouTube, you type in the top YouTube the name of my channel, Thunder Wizard or thunderwizard.com or whatever. You'll see my channel page come up in the search results. You go to my channel page. If you're on a desktop or a laptop, you go down to the menu, not at the top menu, but the bottom next to my name, and you'll see About and all that. And there will be a little magnifying glass. Or if it's on a phone, there will be somewhere that you can press something to search within the channel. Search within the channel and search in power plants, marijuana, drugs, whatever, and a couple of videos, at least one will come up talking about it. Watch that. I don't have time to talk about it right now. All right. Did I see any other questions on there? No other. Let me see. Nope, no other questions. All right. Next chapter. What is a shaman? Shamanism is the practice of communicating and balancing the external world by means of spirit communication. A shaman acts as a mediator between the spiritual and the physical realms. The shaman is like a human ambassador to the spiritual realm. Average people seek out shamans because that sounds so judgmental. Average people. Average people seek out shamans because they themselves are unable or are not comfortable communicating with the spirit realm. So they seek out shamans to interpret the energetic message of the world around them. You know what I'm coming to realize is that because I was struggling with who I was, even here I'm starting now to reach out with this, my first book. I'm starting to actually do, what I'm supposed to do. You can hear in that a victim mentality. I felt totally different. I felt completely unaccepted. I felt like, you can hear the superiority in that. Average people who are not comfortable, you can hear that. It's because I felt so weird and so different and so misunderstood. And I was really coming to accept this reality that I was always under the surface connected to this very powerful spiritual realm that I was trying to hide all the time. But the fact that I was hiding it made me feel even more different. Now that I've been doing this, and this is what I do, and the things that I've experienced since then, I really don't feel different from anybody, which is why I have such a hard time being compassionate to victims who really want to feel different from everybody else and superior and special. And it's really coming from a place of victim mentality. I don't see myself as different from anybody. It's not until we start talking about this stuff that I go, oh yeah, okay, maybe I do have some different ideas or abilities. But so what? Everybody's got something special. That doesn't make me any different than anybody else. They're good at whatever the hell they do. They're into stuff that I can't even comprehend. They can go to a 9-to-5 job, for Christ's sake. I can't do that. So it's really interesting to go back and see, everything that I've been teaching now about, if you find yourself like, the guy who's currently got it in for me now on my channel, find people who are constantly out there trying to prove everybody else how everybody else is wrong. It means that they're not comfortable being themselves. I wasn't comfortable, and I felt so different as a result of it. All right. Average people seek out shamans because they themselves are unable or are not comfortable communicating with the spirit realm. So they seek out shamans to interpret the energetic message of the world around them. Everything has a spirit. Rocks, trees, water, people, animals, ideas, things. Interesting that some of those are capitalized and some aren't. I also didn't have an editor. I just wrote stuff and just published it without editing it. So you're going to find all kinds of weird things like that in my books. I write books because I just got to get it out of my system. I'm not writing it to try and be the best writer in the world. I just got to get it out. So here I am just capitalizing, not capitalizing, punctuation, whatever. I didn't care. I just wanted to get it out. Everything has its own spirit, and we communicate directly with them. Spirits communicate with us all the time. We have just chosen not to listen. Since everything has a spirit, everything can be communicated with. The shaman communicates directly with the spirit of whatever they wish to understand. In this book, we will learn how to communicate with the spirit of our poverty and transform it into our prosperity. This is actually a really great exercise when we get to it. We will also learn how to determine our true purpose in life and follow it. This is not a book on how to become filthy rich by selling real estate, buying stocks, internet marketing, or online auctions. This is not another version of The Secret, i.e. Law of Attraction. In fact, I am not going to tell you what you should do at all. In this book, we will examine what is missing from the Law of Attraction and why it doesn't work. The truth is, as I wrote that, I really wanted to become filthy rich. I thought if I just had enough money, I would be okay. And so I was trying to get ahead of the idea that somebody read this book, they weren't going to be able to make a lot of money and they were going to judge me. And I'm just being honest with you. In that sentence, that's what was going on unconsciously. That's why I said this is not a book about how to become filthy rich. Nowadays, if you talk to me now, I don't have any problem with helping you become filthy rich. If that's what you want to do, great. I mean, the truth is it doesn't matter. You can have everything you want even if you don't have a lot of money. But I don't have a problem with wealth anymore. And I did then. I had a judgment against it because I didn't think that I had the ability to create it. Now I do. And now I'm even expanding my abilities to go far beyond what I thought I could, be comfortable with or even deserve to make. Back then, I still didn't think I could, that I didn't feel worthy of it, so you can hear it in that. I'll read it again and now listen for the unconscious projection in it. This is not a book on how to become filthy rich by selling real estate, buying stocks, internet marketing, or online auctions. Those are all things I tried to do, or at least looked into. This is not another version of The Secret. In fact, I am not going to tell you what you should do at all. Nowadays, I will. If you get a consultation with me, you are going to tell me, and then I'll tell you exactly what you're supposed to do based on what you just told me. In this book, we will examine what is missing from the law of attraction and why it doesn't work. That part is true. The law of attraction, as stated, does not work. I think what I teach does work. I am going to help you learn how to listen to your highest destiny and follow it. We are moving into a new age. In this new era, in order to be successful and enjoy life, humans will need to follow their highest spiritual calling in order to be supported materially by the universe. Let me switch that up. Again, you hear my projection. I have a problem with money. It's not what I'm saying isn't true. It's that what really I've come to find out is that what you need in order to make the shift is to make yourself selfishly happy. Do the one thing that makes you really crazy, selfishly happy. In there, I was hedging. I'll read it again so you can hear it. I am going to help you learn how to listen to your highest destiny and follow it. We are moving into a new age. In this new era, in order to be successful and enjoy life, humans will need to follow their highest spiritual calling in order to be supported materially by the universe. Now I would say in order to, in this new era, in order to be successful and enjoy life, humans will need to follow their deepest selfish desires in order to be supported materially by the universe. That's how I would say it now. It is also true that following your deepest selfish desires is also your highest spiritual calling. So it's in there you can hear the schism in my head, even at that time, but I've switched since then. In this new era, those who resist their innermost spirits will be frustrated. True. In the past, people who were rewarded for resisting their spiritual paths and rewarded for following empty materialism. They weren't rewarded. They were actually not rewarded either, but it was acceptable in society to do so. Those days are coming to an end. How many famous movie stars have we seen in recent times completely destroy their lives? All their fame and money could not buy them fulfillment. That's me talking about, trying to accept that I wasn't going to be a movie star, because I had just walked away from it just a couple of years earlier. So that was me looking back and saying, yeah, I wasn't meant to be a movie star. Those movie stars, yeah, they're not happy anyway. All their fame and money could not buy them fulfillment. So we are seeking a new paradigm about wealth. It is a new paradigm to us, but as we will see, it is as old as the hills. Now, bear in mind, just because I'm able to share with you all of my unconscious, unresolved issues that I was going through, doesn't mean that everything that I wrote wasn't true or helpful. I'm just thinking of that now as I'm reading it. And, part of what I do is I want you guys to see my journey. I want you to see when I stub my toe and when I make mistakes. And the other thing is you can be full of mistakes and full of self-sabotage and still create and do something that is of value to the world. So you guys won't necessarily read that when you read the book. It'll still communicate exactly what it needs to. But I look at it and I go, wow, I've really changed a lot since then. And I want to share that with you, so I want you to be able to do that for yourself and allow yourself to be imperfect. It's totally okay. There's nothing more spiritual than just being human. Nothing. All right, next chapter. What is shamanic wealth? True wealth, according to shamanic principles, is being supplied with all your physical needs like a home, like a nice home, transportation, food, friends, love, and family. Wealth is not about how much money, fame, or possessions you have. That's true. True wealth is balanced. So you see in there, you see that I had to say balanced. You hear that? True wealth is balanced. That's not that what I just read isn't true. It is. It's just I can hear me hedging. And what I'm really saying is you don't have to, I didn't see that I was going to have a lot of money. So by being balanced, I didn't have too much money in my life. A truly wealthy person, according to shamanic principles, has more than enough money to provide for their physical well-being as well as their leisure activities. True. A true shaman is able to live comfortably, have plenty of leisure time, go on vacations, and follow a spiritually fulfilling vocation, whether that be in big business, the arts, politics, spiritual teaching, or just being a stay-at-home parent. Whatever is your true calling, if you are in communication with your higher self, the universe will provide you with abundant wealth. So in order to obtain wealth, we first need to understand some basic shamanic principles. Okay, I haven't read this in a long time, so this will be interesting to see what I said here. Shamanic principles. Everything in the universe wants to behave according to its original spirit. When something acts contrary to its original spirit, this creates imbalance. Imbalance is the cause of all illness and pain. When anything is in a state of imbalance, the spirit of that person, thing, or entity has become lost. This causes dis-ease or illness. By redirecting energy to act in accordance with its original purpose, its spirit is retrieved, balance is restored, and the illness is cured. If you are struggling with money issues, then we can deduce three things. A, you are not acting in harmony with your original spirit, and your spirit has become lost or angry, resulting in a state of imbalance. B, your imbalance has created an illness of poverty. Well, that was a good way to put it, actually. C, by discovering your original purpose and acting in accordance with your original purpose, your original spirit will return and money can be transformed into prosperity. This may sound oversimplified, but it is not. Making this transformation may not be easy, but it is very simple. All right, that was very powerful. Some of the things that I said in there. Like I said, I haven't seen this in I don't even know how many years. But my favorite line, which now I'm really fired up. I'm going to make whole videos just on this line. Your imbalance has created an illness of poverty. Poverty is an illness, and you are responsible. You have created it because you create every illness within you. If you are poor, it's not the elite, it's not the Illuminati, it's not the government, it's you. You have an imbalance within you that is causing your poverty. Now, the one word that I would change instead of imbalance is conflict. So let's go through that now, and I'm going to then replace imbalance with conflict. So let's start up at the top with shamanic principles. 1, everything in the universe wants to behave according to its original spirit. 2, when something acts contrary to its original spirit, this creates conflict. Conflict is the cause of all illness and pain. When anything is in a state of conflict, the spirit of that person, thing, or entity has become lost. This causes dis-ease or illness. By redirecting energy to act in accordance with its original purpose, its spirit is retrieved, conflict is eradicated, balance is restored, and the illness is cured. If you are struggling with money issues, then we can deduce three things. A, you are not acting in harmony with your original spirit, and your spirit has become lost or angry, resulting in a state of conflict. B, your conflict has created an illness of poverty. C, by discovering your original purpose and acting in accordance with your original purpose, your original spirit will return and poverty can be transformed into prosperity. All right, so that's actually pretty good. There's some really good stuff in there. The one thing that I hear myself doing is I'm trying to echo, because this is a book on shamanism, and I'm wanting to look like a shaman here. I'm echoing the idea of spirit retrieval. You know, if you heard about that, shamans do spirit retrieval, and people's spirit are lost. I'm not saying that's not true. It's a symbol, and you know, your spirit can be lost somewhere, and a shaman can go into journey and go find it somewhere and bring it back, which really means, you know, you're bringing yourself back. But the truth is, your spirit doesn't go anywhere. Your spirit is within you. So I wouldn't say that. I don't do soul retrieval. I think that symbolism helps to create a feeling of victim mentality, and I want to work against that. So it's not that your spirit has become lost. I was right. You take out the word lost, and I'm right. Your spirit has become angry, resulting in a state of conflict. By redirecting, let me see, where else do I say the spirit of that person thing? Okay, so number 4, I say when anything is in a state of imbalance, i.e. conflict, the spirit of that person, thing, or entity has become lost. I wouldn't say that anymore. I would say that the spirit of that person, thing, or entity has been suppressed into the unconscious, which is the same as being lost. It's lost to your conscious mind, but it's not lost. It's right there. You're just repressing it. This causes disease or illness. By redirecting energy to act in accordance with its original purpose, its spirit is retrieved. Yay! No, I wouldn't say retrieved anymore. I would say by redirecting energy to act in accordance with its original purpose, your spirit becomes conscious and balance is restored and the illness is cured. So hopefully you can hear the difference in what I'm talking about here. All right, so yeah, I'm going to remember that. Poverty is an illness. How to heal yourself from the illness of poverty. That's going to be my next let me write that down. Here's the other thing. When you get hit with an inspiration, you got to write it down. So I'm going to write down poverty is an illness. All right, so I'll work on that later. That's great. I'm really glad that I read that. All right, let's get back to the text here. Where to go? Come here. Where is it? I want that. All right, moving on. Let's see. Are there any questions? Nope, no questions. Let's keep going. Acceptance. The first thing we want to do is recognize that your poverty does exist. That's important to know. People do deny. Denial is a big thing. Oh, everything is fine. I'm happy with what I have. I'm just grateful for everything that I have. And yeah, no, you're not. You're really unhappy with what you got. First thing we want to do is recognize that your poverty does exist. Denial will not solve anything. In fact, our poverty is a direct result of resistance and denial of our true spiritual purpose. That's true. Your poverty exists because of some conflict, i.e. imbalance in you that has manifested itself in the form of lack of finances. This is a form of soul sickness and needs to be spiritually treated. Wow, this is really great. Resistance to your original purpose has choked off the energetic flow of the universe to you and resulted in the form of financial lack. By accepting that we are in a state of imbalance, i.e. conflict, we can then make the changes necessary in order to reopen the spiritual valves and let the energy flow to us again, thereby bringing us back into balance and restoring our birthright of prosperity. So I'm really liking the shift from imbalance to conflict, because imbalance, again, is we're sort of tiptoeing around it. And, ooh, I'm in a state of imbalance right now. When what's really going on is that you're furious and you are having a war to the death within yourself. So being imbalanced, I mean, if you've got an illness, it means that there's a war inside of you. You are fighting with yourself to the death. And illness is a result of that. People who die, like, knock on wood, I don't have it, but when people die of cancer, it's they lose the battle. They are fighting with themselves, and that self-hatred on an unconscious level ends up killing them. That's my belief. So it's not just imbalance, it's outright conflict, war. All right. And of course, it's on an unconscious level. So just because you're not consciously aware of it doesn't mean it's not there. By accepting that we are in a state of conflict, we can then make the changes necessary in order to reopen the spiritual valves and let the energy flow to us again, thereby bringing us back into balance and restoring our birthright of prosperity, our natural state of being. Each of us is born with a divine purpose that we must fulfill in order to be truly happy. When we are one with our original spirit, we intuitively act in accordance with our divine purpose. When someone is following their divine purpose, the universe provides them with everything they need for their physical survival, which includes money. They are personally fulfilled and happy. However, sometimes we are diverted from our original purpose by the advice of well-meaning family, friends, teachers, society, etc. We may come to believe that our original divine purpose is somehow wrong. In my case, I was called to be a creative person as well as a shaman. My family and much of the society I grew up with did not approve of either of those callings, and in order to gain acceptance from my family and friends, I resisted my internal desires. I'm not alone in this. We often become conflicted within ourselves. Struggling through this conflict is strengthening to the spirit. You hear that? I'll say it again. Struggling through this conflict is strengthening to the spirit. Meaning, the love and light crowd, oh, I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going to feel that. I'm not going to go to those bad places. People do this with the news, for Christ's sake. People won't watch the news because it's too negative. Well, maybe it's true. You may not like what you're hearing, but you might want to find out what the hell's going on in the world, whether you like it or not. Point is, you don't have to like everything. It's okay to not like what you're thinking, what you're feeling. What matters is what you do. It's not whether or not it's stimulating you to be happy or sad. So what did I say? Struggling through was really good. Struggling through this conflict is strengthening to the spirit. Your soul comes here to experience these challenges so that it can overcome them. It strengthens it. Don't complain about why you're here trapped on this horrible world. Actually work through the struggles, and you will be strengthened and empowered, and your soul will pay you back in all kinds of ways. Struggling through this conflict is strengthening to the spirit, but sometimes through guilt, manipulation, peer pressure, etc., we may choose to abandon our innermost dreams and we try to fit in. In essence, when we do this, we evict our original spirit. See, again, I was trying to play the theme of soul retrieval and soul loss. Yeah. When we do this, we evict our original spirit. It becomes angry and leaves us. No, it doesn't leave us. It becomes angry and then it starts fighting us. It starts attacking us. It becomes angry and leaves us, but because we are conflicted and our spirit is angry, it hangs around outside of us and sabotages our financial success in order to get our attention. So here you're seeing what I was experiencing, because what the other thing that happens is that we express in our external reality our internal conflict. So the way I was describing it is that your spirit gets pushed out of you and sort of hangs around you and causes conflict and poverty to get your attention. Today what I would say is that your spirit doesn't leave you, it's inside of you, the conflict is inside of you, and you also create into your external reality the conflict that you are experiencing. You're denying yourself money, happiness, then you will be living in a moneyless state. You'll have poverty in your external world, but it's because you're not allowing things to come to you because you're fighting with yourself. You're in real mortal combat with yourself, trying to, your need to be accepted by others is actually fighting with you and trying to keep you from making your spirit happy, and that's the conflict. We may choose to abandon our innermost dreams and we try to fit in. In essence, when we do this, we evict our original spirit, it becomes angry and leaves us. But because we are conflicted and our spirit is angry, it hangs around outside of us and sabotages our financial success in order to get our attention. We may just think it is bad luck or bad circumstances or just laziness on our part, but it is actually our own spirit running around causing problems so we will remember our original purpose and act accordingly. When we do act according to our original purpose, we automatically invite our spirit back inside of us where it belongs. See, it never really leaves. What I'm saying is that your spirit is there. It's either angry with you or happy with you. And when you do what it wants to do, it gets happy. It doesn't have to go out and come back or any of that other stuff. Then the energetic doors are open for us to receive all of the things we need for our physical and emotional well-being. This can be a very simple process, but sometimes it is also frightening and painful. In either case, if we are resolute and willing to face our fears, we can be successful. When we realize that our poverty and our prosperity are living beings that we can communicate with, we can get to the core of our problem much faster just by communicating directly with them and finding out what they want from us. You can spend years trying to intellectually figure out the core issue of your poverty consciousness and get nowhere. This is because we waste our time thinking about our poverty when we can simply communicate directly with the poverty itself and find out why it is there. Your poverty, like everything else in the universe, has a spirit. So let's just talk to it and find out what it has to say. And then I go into the first exercise. So let's see, how many pages is this book? Oh, it's not long at all. It's only 30, not even that. It's 29 pages. So we've gotten through the first 10, is that right? First 10 pages, yeah. So exercise 1. So I'll go ahead and give the exercise for exercise 1, and we'll stop there. I'll actually go 10 pages. This is the 10th page. Exercise 1, talking to your poverty. In this exercise, we are going to communicate directly with the spirit of our poverty. But first, we need to create and find 2 important things: our safe room and our spirit guides. Constructing your safe room. Before we do this exercise, we first need to create a safe room. A safe room doesn't even have to be a room. It can be outdoors in a meadow, a garden, a beach, a mountaintop, wherever. It can also be indoors like a temple or a courtyard. It can be whatever you want. You are going to build it. And you can build anything you want or go anywhere you want. For now, I will call it a safe room because it is a place of complete safety. You can meet and talk with anything and anyone. You will be completely protected. Even if you call in a dangerous animal or even the devil himself, he cannot harm you in your safe room because you will be completely protected by divine spirit. In your safe room, you are going to invite your poverty to come and meet you face to face and ask it why it is in your life and what you need to do to transform it into prosperity. But first, we need to bring your spiritual protector to guide you and protect you. So let's build your safe room. If you are new to shamanic work, you may want to find a private place to do your shamanic exercises. If you are experienced in meditative or shamanic practices, you will be able to do this almost anywhere. For now, I will assume you are a novice in shamanic thinking. So find a quiet spot. It can be anywhere, indoors or outdoors. Get comfortable and relax. I'm going to teach you a shamanic breath which will enable you to access an altered energetic state of consciousness. It is the 3-1-3-1 breath. First, make sure you are breathing deeply from your abdomen. So you can lie down if you want, sitting. If I was sitting, I would stand up. I'd put my, not stand up, I would sit up so I wasn't hunched over. I would sit up and I would put my hands right over left, put it over my navel. And then, now inhale deeply to a count of 3. Hold your breath for a count of 1. Exhale for a count of 3. Hold for a count of 1. Repeat. So it would be like this. Inhale. Again. You keep doing that, you're going to get yourself oxygenated. You're going to feel a little dizzy. I mean, you can see already my eyes are kind of droopy. I'm already relaxed. It puts you in a state of relaxation. So continue like this for 3 minutes or for as long as you like. When you feel yourself enter an altered state of consciousness, you are now able to contact other dimensions. So it doesn't matter how you feel. Truth is, you can feel good, you can feel totally like nothing's going on. None of that matters. Just follow the techniques. The physiological changes will happen regardless. So actually this whole exercise goes, let's just finish it. It goes to page 13, so we'll just finish it. So, building your room. When you have achieved a mildly altered state of consciousness, you can begin building your safe room. For now, close your eyes. Allow yourself to imagine some place that makes you feel comfortable and happy. One good way to do this is to ask yourself this question: where do I want to be right now? Say it out loud and then watch what happens. Oftentimes people think they know what they want, but by asking yourself the question, your unconscious will begin creating what you want on a very deep level. So ask the question and let the picture materialize in your mind. It may be different than what you expect, but you will find that it is deeply relaxing for you. When you have the basic outline of your room or garden or mountaintop or whatever, now you can add little touches if you choose. Decorate your room however you'd like. Or maybe it's just fine the way it is. When you are comfortable with your room, you may end the journey. To do this, you can say something like, I consecrate this mountain, room, temple, etc. as my private sacred space. This sacred space will be available to me whenever I call you. Now you have instructed the energy pattern of that safe space to remain in the spirit realm and manifest for you whenever you call it. Now you can come back to it anytime you want. All right, so we'll just stop with that first exercise of building your room. So again, what I'm saying is do the 3-1-3-1 breath, which is inhale for 3 seconds, hold it for 1 second, exhale for 3 seconds, hold it out for 1 second. Do that for a minimum of 3 minutes, and then go and create your room. What I really liked is what I said in the end, but before we get to that, you create your room, which is anything. For me, it was a specific mountain meadow that I used to camp at when I was camping in the Sierras. I'd close my eyes and I'd go there. And that would be my safe room. The one thing I like about this, which, I had forgotten, but was a really powerful thing to do, is when you've gone someplace and created whatever it is, but in this case, your safe room, before you leave, you then say, I consecrate this, whatever it is, as my private sacred space. This sacred space will be available to me whenever I call you. That is a shamanic practice of commanding. You command spirits. You command the world to do things. So when you build the room, you then command it to stay exactly the way it is and be available to you when you need it. And then it will be. And one thing you've done now is on an unconscious level, no matter what, you will always know that your safe place is always there waiting for you. And it creates an energetic connection. And just that in and of itself creates an energetic connection which will empower you. And whenever you are, you can always just go back to it. You're in the middle of work, just close your eyes and go back there. When you get good at it, it can just come up. You don't have to do the breathing. You can just close your eyes and you're there. So we'll stop right there. That's page 10. And then starting next time, we'll talk about contacting your spirit guide, communicating to your poverty. And then we'll look at exercise 1. And then there's exercise 2, which is listening to your prosperity. And then we'll do an analysis of that. And then we'll talk a little bit more. Exercise 3, shamanic fantasy. All right, so there's a lot of good practical stuff in here, which actually was quite good. All right, so that's Wealth Shaman, authored by me. You can go to Amazon or you can go to courses.thunderwizard.com and find books. Click on it. You can find it there. It's a real small book. It's real cheap. I recommend anybody get it. All right, so I'm going to close that and see if there's any questions here. No questions? There's 18 of you on. There's no questions. No haters? What do you mean you didn't see it on Amazon, Ricky? I don't know what to tell you. It's there. Wealth Shaman. Let me just try. Let me see what happens. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go to Amazon, Amazon.com, and I'm going to type in Wealth Shaman under all. Let's see what happens. There it is. Pops up. First thing. So I don't know what you're talking about, man. First thing that happened is Wealth Shaman popped up. Wealth Shaman by Michael William Denney, Kindle. So the Kindle version popped up. And there's an audio CD. I did an audio CD of it. And okay, so it's there. You just got to look for it. All right, so there's that. And let's see, any questions? What's going on here? Come back. I'm working my way through them. Okay, so Winifred, I don't need you to work your way through them. You had asked about if I had ever done psychedelic drugs or plants. I gave you a specific method of how to find that video. So, I mean, if you don't want to watch it, that's okay, and you want to work through my videos, fine, but I'm telling you how to find videos on my channel. You go onto my channel, you scroll down to where at least on a laptop or a desktop, you scroll down to where the menu is. Next to About is a little magnifying glass. You click on the magnifying glass. Another search bar will come up. That is searching within the channel. Type in marijuana. Just type in marijuana and watch that video. That'll answer all of your questions. You don't need to work your way through my videos to get that one. But I want you to work through all my videos. It just sounded like you were kind of sloughing it off. But, I mean, you asked me a question. Let's see. What else? Nope, no other questions. All right, then. That's it for me if you guys don't have any questions. Again, lockdown.thunderwizard.com, $3,214 worth savings. Take advantage of it now. I think that we have hit the apex. I could be wrong. This is just my feeling. I think we've hit the apex. The lockdown here in Australia is going away quick. I mean, things are opening up. I mean, you don't even really know there's a lockdown here now. I was just, in this little beach town here, I was walking through the center of town, getting food. Everybody's hanging out. They're going to start opening up restaurants and things like that. So we're actually on the other side of it. We're on the downhill side of it here in Australia. The U.S., from what I understand, talking to people, it's different in different places. Places like Los Angeles and New York, things are still really awful. But I still kind of feel we've hit the saturation point. I think that things are going to start getting better. So when things aren't, so crazy, I'm going to get rid of this lockdown thing and things will go back to normal. So if you're thinking about doing it, I wouldn't wait too much longer. I would do it now. And go there to find out what it's all about. And again, as somebody has mentioned, I believe he's on here right now, Ricky Green, I believe it was, said I need to talk more about my Patreon channel. So that is thunderwizard.com. And there you can subscribe at multiple levels. And I don't just give away subscriptions like a lot of Patreon people, put this amount of money and support the channel. No, I give you stuff. I don't believe in that. That's why I don't have, I may have one or two donate buttons somewhere on the net, but if I want you to donate money, I want to give you something in return. So go on to that, and for $25 a month, you get master shamanism courses, hundreds and hundreds of hours of stuff that are not on this channel, but on the other channel. $50 a month gets you access to the shamanism courses and to the manifestation mastery course, and I give you very specific ways to manifest your reality. So you get something out of it. It's helpful for me. And then at the higher levels, you can work with me personally. Courses.thunderwizard.com, everything, but Lockdown pretty much has everything except for books and DVDs. Subscribe, hit the bell button. My goal is to get this channel so popular that I don't have to have products and services to make a living. I want to make my living 100% off the YouTube ads. When that happens, everything will be for free. So if you want to help me out with that, watch my videos, give these links out to all your friends, get everybody else to watch them, and of course subscribe and hit the bell button. And if there are things that I'm saying that you're like, what the hell is he doing? Don't worry about it. I've got a method to my madness. If there are some videos that don't hit you right, just watch the ones that do. I'm not gonna just do one thing. Even if you see me making a lot of like this reptilian video thing, you may see me doing a lot of that. But that's simply because, number one, it's a really effective way. For those of you who are kind of put off by it, understand it's a really, really effective way to teach the truth to people who normally wouldn't hear it. And it's also a hell of a lot of fun, and it gets a lot of attention, and all of that is good for my channel. But if you can get past whatever buttons get pushed and listen to what I'm saying, there's truth in it. I never, ever put on videos just for the sake of that, even if I'm playing Arnold and doing some character. Even when I was a comedian and I was doing stand-up and I was playing some character. I'll tell you one time I did this, and I did this character who was speaking in Spanish. And I came out and I was at this comedy club and I started speaking in Spanish to this all-white crowd. And what I would do is I would intersperse the memes of the day. Like, back then, this was back in the 80s, the, what do you call that? The stereotype of the, the undocumented migrant Mexican in California was that they played the lottery all the time and they won the lottery. So I would say a bunch of things in Spanish and then say, I want to win the lottery. And then I'd say a bunch of other things in Spanish. So the white people would be laughing. I wish I had a spray paint can right now. And they would laugh at that. And in between that, in Spanish, I'm telling them how ridiculously racist they are and what a bunch of idiots they are. And I bet you think that I'm going to say, I wish I had a spray paint can right now. And I think that I'm willing to bet that all you think that I do is run around thinking, I want to win the lottery. And they're busting up laughing at the words that they understand. And what's happening is all of the staff is coming out and watching me make idiots of this whole crowd of white people who are so racist, laughing at what they think is me being racist. I love doing that. So don't ever take me at face value. Know that there's always something underneath. Maybe you can't see it on the, right at the level, but I'm doing something to either stimulate you or teach people who normally wouldn't be able to be taught. So never give up. Always listen. Know that I'm always trying to find a way to get the message of truth and the message of awareness and evolution. However that is. And whatever the channel wants, that's what I'm going to do. Okay? So that's it for me. I'll double check and see if there are any more questions. I don't think there are. Nope, no questions. All right, that's it for me, guys. Talk to you soon.